When we, the people, created the legislative arms of government, and Parliament in particular, we created a Parliament that would represent us, that would create laws that we'd follow, and that would oversight the executive. Many complaints have been made in the public about the Parliament's role of oversighting the executive. Not just the 13th Parliament, the 12th Parliament, the 11th Parliament under the 2010 Constitution. Is Parliament, as constituted, maybe politically or otherwise, able to properly oversight the executive?
Thank you, Latif. And before I answer what your statement comes from, I first want to say we are here to discuss Katiba at 16 and what we have done as the National Assembly to implement the Constitution. So let me start with that, because that's our business today. If you look at Article 43, which the President has spoken about very passionately, on the issues of health, if you look at the Social Health Authority Act, Parliament, National Assembly passed it. If you look at the Primary Health Act, it was the National Assembly that passed it. If you look at the Emergency, Chronic and Critical Illness Fund, that is the National Assembly. If you look at the Digital Health Act, that's the National Assembly. So on the issue of health, under Article 43, we have made our part. On education, currently we have several laws. We have already, just yesterday we were debating the an amendment to the Basic Education Act, because again, that's a right. It's a socio-economic right under Article 43, and further to that, there's more amendments that are going to the Higher Education Loans Board, the Tertiary Institutions Act, the Education Assessment Act, and so on. All those are ongoing. If you look at the right to water, again, we passed the National Water and Storage Authority Act, and that is already in place. If you look at the issue of housing, the Housing Levy Act was passed in Parliament. If you look at the changes that were made to our savings at the National Social Security Fund, again, that law was amended by Parliament to be able to allow an increased amount so that we can have increased savings in the country, so that we are not borrowing money from other countries, but we can borrow our own citizens' money. If you look at Social Security, on the money that is given to senior citizens by government, again, that took an act of Parliament. So we can categorically say that as the National Assembly, on the manifesto of the Ruto administration, we have been able to do our part. On the issue of the right to food, again, when you see some of the programs and some of the laws that we are passing, is to ensure that we are able to attain the issue of food security. The courts, on many cases, has castigated Parliament over public participation, and that's why the Public Participation Act is currently before the House and has gone to the Senate. Again, the National Infrastructure Fund, that's an act of Parliament. The National Sovereign Fund Act, that's from the National Assembly. The government-owned enterprises, that's also that. And just to tell you that Parliament is sensitive to the people, because we represent the people, and that's what the spirit of our Constitution says. When we had the crisis in the Strait of Hormuz, and the prices of fuel was going to go very high, immediately, in exactly 1 day, we sat until midnight and amended the Value-Added Tax Act to be able to bring the price of fuel to at least an acceptable level. So yes, Parliament is doing its part to be able to implement the Constitution. On the matters of oversight, every single day, when we are not sitting in plenary, we are calling to account the executive. I know that the Auditor General was here, and yes, you many times hear the voice of the Auditor General when she has audited a certain institution. Most of the time, it's announced publicly, even before it comes to Parliament. Remember, it does not end with the Auditor General. That report, the Auditor General must bring to the National Assembly, then the relevant committees review them, and then are able to give sanctions where required or give recommendations where required. In the past, Parliament was behind in about 6 or 7 years, but today I can confirm to you as chairperson of the Liaison Committee, the chairpersons have confirmed that Public Accounts Committee is now at 2024-2025 financial year. PIC, the same thing. So we have managed to review the reports. And the challenge had been before that there was only one committee dealing with it. After that, the PIC committee was split into thematic areas so that they can be able to work faster. We've deployed several staff to them to be able to do that. So yes, oversight is live and indeed. And today, we go on recess as Parliament. And people think that we go on holiday. Actually, every single committee is sitting for 3 straight weeks to complete their reports because we are also alive to the fact that it's a year. So yes, I can confidently say that Parliament has done its job, continues to do, and we have had continuous improvement. We recently had a state of Parliament report, and we're able to see that we've done this much and we need to make certain changes. Like now we know the outstanding orders have to be changed so that we can have the Public Accounts Committee can be in four of them in thematic areas so that we can work faster for better oversight and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. And let's account for that. Parliament has passed legislation. The question is, has Parliament processed legislation or passed legislation? When it comes to executive oversight, is Parliament oversighting the executive, or is Parliament, for lack of a better word, tapping the executive on the back?
Not
or on the wrist?
I think, when you say that we are passing government bills, you must remember we have someone called the majority leader in Parliament. The single job of the majority leader is to table government bills. Because if the government has to work, the laws have to be passed. So that is his job. Then there is private members' bills, and then the minority also are able to bring various bills. Like the bill on the Basic Education Amendment Act yesterday was by Honorable Olwoch, who is from the minority side. And he has been prosecuting it for almost 2 years. So yes, Parliament is not a rubber stamp, as you try and say. That's a rumor by the media. All right.
The Honorable Speaker, Moses Wetangula, recently spoke of some MPs receiving letters for appointment of teachers. And I know that matter was live, even in Parliament, by some members of Parliament yesterday. As the head of Parliament, how do you respond to this? Is Parliament an extension of the executive, or the recruitment agency of the executive?
Okay, Latif, let me remind you again politely that we're here to discuss and take stock of Katiba at 16.
Indeed it is.
And so I have not come here to discuss rumors that are out there. What you can do, when I come to your TV station, that will be a valid question to ask. So I politely decline to answer.
Okay. Let me remind all of us that we are here to account for Katiba at 16. It is our constitution. The offices that we created are accountable to the people of Kenya in all things that they do, whether they are passing laws or blocking laws. So, the Honorable Deputy Speaker, respectfully, I tell you that the question I'm asking is about accountability.
No, it's a valid question,
Parliament.
and as you said, and as I've told you, that for today's session, there's no answer to that. But I can confirm to you that yesterday, the Education Committee was waiting to summon the Teacher Service Commission, because that is the independent commission that is charged to do with recruitment of teachers. If they are doing it in a different manner other than provided by the law, then they are the ones to be called to account. And that's what I'm saying, that's a conversation for another time, not today.
There's no better day than today, but let's move to the next one. Honorable Speaker, Amason Kingi, you're Speaker of the Senate. You served as the county governor for 2 terms, and you know the role of the Senate that we, the people, established is to defend and promote democracy, devolution. And I want to ask today, is the Senate protecting counties? And can you give us examples where the Senate has actually protected counties, and from what?
Thank you for that question. Indeed, the constitutional mandate of the Senate is basically that, to protect the interests of the county governments. And it does that in different fronts. First is when we are doing the division of revenue. between the national government and the county governments. That is where the Senate then pronounces itself as a defender of the county governments. You will note that since inception of devolution, because of the fight, the spirited fight by the Senate, the shareable revenue going to the counties has gradually been increasing. So yes, we have been fighting so hard to make sure that the county governments do not get a raw deal when it comes to sharing the revenue between the national government and the county governments. There are other instances, of course, where the Senate comes in to protect the county governments. You've heard of this issue that is, I believe, still very much alive. That touches on the roads, for example. There has been a push from the national government on how to reclassify roads beyond what is presently provided for under the Constitution. And I think the Senate has taken a very firm stand on how we should handle that matter, again, protecting the interests of the county governments. So yes, the Senate has been there fought on behalf of the county governments.
Have there been instances, Honorable Speaker, when the Senate has felt the national government overreaching its mandate to claw into functions of devolution?
Well, if you look at Schedule 4, for example, which demarcates the functions that are preserved of the national government and the functions that are preserved of the county governments, for the period that we have experienced devolution, there has been, of course, a delay in unbundling these functions. And, but by and large, as we speak today, at Katiba at 16, a lot has been done. And unbundling has been done. What I think is remaining is costing of those particular functions. But again, under our law, a county government can enter into an agreement with the national government. Maybe a function is a preserve of that particular county government, but they can enter into an agreement with the national government to allow the national government to actually undertake that particular function. In such a case, we cannot say the national government is overbearing.
All right, I want to just progress that conversation to, of course, the Chair of the Council of Governors, Honorable FCP Abdullahi. As governor who's also in your second term, are there instances where, as governors, you felt that the national government, and I'm not talking about the administration, I'm talking about the national government, has overshot its mandate to claw into devolution?
Thank you very much, Eric. Before I answer your question, let me set mine like everyone else was doing. Devolution has done extremely, extremely well, and it's that everyone here that has been on this podium has said it's that one single takeout that has been very, very beneficial to Kenyans out of our 2010 constitution. And without giving numbers necessarily, if you just look at the expansion in healthcare, in agriculture, in early childhood education, the distances that have reduced for fetching water, and all the number of hospital beds, and I have the data here in a very refined manner, devolution has done extremely, extremely well. Now, on the issue of national government and the whole matter of clawback, you'll have to understand that in a robust democracy such as ours, and where we came from, you know, we were not 47 countries coming together. We were one country, and we were not coming out of war, right? We had a very strong centralized government. And the clamor for the new constitution was partly to spread that power at the center and devolve resources and decision-making over those resources. So there'll always be areas of conflict between national and county government. And this is why we have a very elaborate architect